Modern Pokemon has gone through a renaissance of sorts. The Scarlet and Violet era of the game brought back Stage 2 decks, EX Pokemon, and incredibly fun back and forth games. The Tag Team era of the game was hot garbage, to be honest. Sword and Shield is just so boring, but the Scarlet and Violet base set to Black Bolt White Flare era of the game is amazing. The cards from these sets fundamentally changed the game, mostly in positive ways, but frustrating in others. Don't worry, we're going to discuss the tiny green elephant in the room eventually. I want to focus on these support cards, not just the actual supporters, but all the cards from Pokemon to trainers and, yes, supporters that have shaped deck building and gameplay over the last several years of the Pokemon TCG. Gardevoir EX has been a dominant force since its release, and has gone through a litany of different support Pokemon through different rotations, but the single strongest support Pokemon, not only in Gardevoir but countless other decks, has been Munkidori. Munkidori has fundamentally changed how Pokemon is played in the modern era. Munkidori's ability, Adrenabrade, says, once during your turn, if this Pokemon has any darkness energy attached, you may move up to 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, 30 damage may not seem like a huge amount, but being able to stack 2 or 3 of these on your bench means you can effectively heal anywhere from 30 to 90 damage every single turn from your Pokemon. It is also incredibly strong to stun your opponent while they're setting up, hitting their weaker basic Pokemon before they can get their big evolution Pokemon, as well as being incredible at dealing with single prize decks. It's worked particularly well with Gardevoir EX, by using Gardevoir's Psychic Embrace ability to attach energy from your discard to your Pokemon and put damage counters on them. For example, Gardevoir EX attaches 3 energy to itself so it can attack dealing 190 damage with Miracle Force. Well, with 2 Munkidori on your bench, you can remove that 60 damage and put onto your opponent's Pokemon. Now Gardevoir has effectively dealt 250 damage, knocking out every basic EX Pokemon in the format, along with some Mega EX Pokemon like Mega Halucha, if you don't lose the coin flip on his effect, that is. But beyond that, Munkidori has created what I like to call Monkey Wars. No, not that kind of Monkey War. Essentially, Munkidori has found itself into countless decks to act not only as a healer, but also to spread damage and soften up your opponent's Pokemon. So much so, both players will play Munkidori and continuously pass damage back and forth. As I said before, Munkidori has changed how Pokemon is played. You have to consider, do you want to attack your opponent this turn if they have Munkidoris? If you cannot completely knock out an opponent's Pokemon and you leave damage counters on their board, that is essentially just increasing their damage output on the following turn. Currently, Mega Absol Box, Marnie's Grimmsnarl, some Dragapult variants, a dedicated Frostlass Munkidori deck, and Gardevoir all run the Little Monkey, and I've seen some interesting Lucario decks that tech it in as well. The card isn't set to rotate for at least a year now. The Pokemon Company has even tried to address the issue of Munkidori by printing Battle Cage and Phantasmal Flames to turn off its ability. Even still, that hasn't stopped people from using the card, and it's likely to continue to dominate the format and affect how it's played until it's rotated out. I have to, of course, talk about Secret Box. This A-Spec card fundamentally changed how decks are built. I believe this is the most played A-Spec card in all topping deck lists, and for good reason. Secret Box says by discarding 3 other cards, you can search your deck for an item card, a Pokemon tool card, a supporter card, and a stadium card. Reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. This card is often paired with 4 copies of Arven, a supporter card that can search out Secret Box, meaning you are essentially playing 5 copies of Secret Box in your deck. Secret Box is so incredibly strong because how it can change deck building, by having a way to search every single type of trainer card, and several at once at that. It means you can be incredibly creative with your deck building. One of the supporter cards that are incredibly strong in niche scenarios become so much more viable because you can find them at any point with Secret Box in your hand. An example of a turn with Secret Box, assuming it's turn 3 and I'm on Marnie's Grimmsnarl, with only an Impotent in my active spot. I'll play Secret Box, discarding 3 random cards will say 3 energy. Search out Spikemuth Gym, Rare Candy, Boss's Orders, and TM Devolution. I can search for Grimmsnarl with Spikemuth, Rare Candy to evolve Impotent, and fully load up with energy. Boss orders my opponent's set up Pokemon, and then just immediately knock it out. I can also put 30 damage on their bench in any way I like. So even in just probably the worst case scenario, you can set up your board so easily and so quickly. Maybe instead of Spikemuth Gym, I'm getting Artisan, and instead of Rare Candy, I get Buddy Buddy Poffin, so I can set up my entire board off of this one card. Next is the Little Green Goober, the Monster of Moss, the most annoying card in the entire format, Budew. This card for a simple 30 HP Pokemon seems innocuous, but is one of the best attacks in the game. For no energy, Budew attacks with Itchy Pollen, preventing your opponent from using item cards on their next turn. Considering most decks play anywhere from 15 to 20 item cards on average, it shuts down a third of the cards a player has in most of their decks. There's a debate on whether Budew is healthy for the game, it isn't. I don't think it is at all. I cannot wait for his rotation. I hate his dumb little smile. I can tell he's taunting me. But its existence has changed deck building without a doubt. Prior to Budew, many Stage 2 decks would completely omit their Stage 1 Pokemon. Many decks played a 4-3 lineup of their basic Pokemon and Stage 2, unless the Stage 1 had a powerful effect. This is because of Rare Candy. Rare Candy is such a powerful tool that allowed players to cheat in their Stage 2 Pokemon a turn early. This made it so more deck spots be given to trainers to increase deck consistency. Charizard EX come to mind. They often played a 2-2 Pidgey-Pidgeot EX line, and usually like a 4-1-3 Charizard line, depending on the deck list. But as soon as Budew came out, deck lists began running Pidgeotto as well as more copies of Charmeleon. Budew, for better or worse, has a chokehold on the game. It'll be interesting to see if it continues to see play as we see the rise of new Mega Pokemon, who are often Stage 1 or even basics like Absol and Kangaskhan, who are seeing a lot of consistent play and don't necessarily need those trainer cards to set up as fast. Buddy Buddy Poffin is another card that has shaped deck building and affected which decks have dominated in recent years. It is the spiritual successor to the incredibly strong Battle VIP Pass from the Sword and Shield era. Unlike Battle VIP Pass, which let players play any 2 basic Pokemon from their deck, Buddy Buddy Poffin restricts you to Pokemon with 70 HP or less, removing all EX and Rulebox Pokemon in the format from being searched. But the benefit is that Buddy Buddy Poffin can be used at any turn of the game, unlike Battle VIP Pass that has to be used on your first turn. Buddy Buddy Poffin is fantastic for the many evolution decks in the game. It made it so decks were easily searchable for your weak, basic Pokemon, and because it doesn't allow you to add high HP Pokemon, it boxes out any basic EX Pokemon and promotes decks that want to be evolving. The new card that came out in Ascended Heroes, Pokepal, will likely see this same level of success in evolution decks because it can search out any Pokemon without a rule box, and I love the design where you have really strong, powerful cards that promote these longer setup decks that want to get to their Stage 2 Pokemon. Next are 2 different cards that are pretty related though. TM Devolution and TM Evolution both drastically affected the modern era of Pokemon. TM Devo gives your Pokemon the attack Devolution, which says devolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon, putting the highest stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand. This card allows you to set your opponent fully back a turn in evolution, and most importantly, it punishes decks who cheat in Stage 2 Pokemon early with Rare Candy, meaning they have to find another Rare Candy on the following turn if they want to get their Stage 2 Pokemon back out. Another great use of this is in munkidori decks. For instance, if your opponent has a Charizard EX they made with a Rare Candy that is at least 10 damage on it from a previous turn. If you can move enough damage onto it with 2 or maybe 3 Adrenabrain abilities, you can TM Devo, remove the top Charizard, and knock out the Charmander beneath it. This adds a lot of really interesting complexity to the game, encouraging deck building with Stage 1 Pokemon and forcing players to set up differently in case they're interrupted with TM Devo. TM Evolution is very similar. For 1 colorless energy, your Pokemon gains the attack Evolution, saying choose 2 of your bench Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a card that evolves from that Pokemon, and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. This is another reason why Stage 2 decks have been so prevalent in the Scarlet and Violet era of the game, which I really hope the Pokemon Company continues to design cards that promote those Stage 2 decks. Also, very important to note with these cards is that Arven searches for an item card and a Pokemon tool card, meaning TM Devo and Evo are the perfect search targets to add to your hand if you don't really have other tool cards you're looking for. The modern Pokemon game is in one of the best positions it has ever been in. Stage 2 decks are abundant, individual Pokemon cards are creating incredibly interesting back and forth gameplay, and there's a ton of different strategies that all aim to do different things. I'm incredibly excited to be playing Pokemon right now. I'm a bit nervous to see how rotation and the introduction of more Mega Pokemon will change the game, but I'm cautiously optimistic for now. If there are any other cards you think have shaped modern gameplay that I haven't talked about, let me know in the comments down below.